We've brought you the story of Sean Ellis a few times over the years. Now he's at the center of a new Netflix docu-series called Trial 4. The story of Ellis's quest to prove what he's maintained for more than a quarter century, 22 of those years in jail, that he did not murder a Boston police detective.
For my fourth trial, I want to be vindicated. I want to be exonerated. But I won't be the only one that's on trial. The Boston police will be on trial. I want the jury to have the opportunity to hear everything that went on in the case. Everything. I definitely want the world to know that I'm innocent.
But that opportunity never came. Now, for those who don't know the case, investigators said Detective John Mulligan was on detail and sleeping in his car in front of a Walgreens in Roslindale when he was shot 5 times in the face and killed following a robbery back in '93. Ellis, then 19 years old, was quickly arrested and tried for Mulligan's murder. The first 2 trials ended in hung juries, although one jury did convict Ellis of weapons possession. Then in a third trial, he was convicted of murder and first-degree robbery and sentenced to life without parole. But later, 2 Boston police detectives pivotal to the case against Ellis, Walter Robinson and Kenneth Acera, pled guilty to corruption charges. And a third corrupt cop got immunity in exchange for testifying against the others, casting new doubt on witness testimony and physical evidence they'd found. In 2015, his murder conviction was overturned. Ellis was released on bail and a 4th trial ordered. But then in 2018, prosecutors dropped the charges. And while that made Sean Ellis a free man, it also meant he never did get that 4th trial and his chance to prove his innocence in court. So he's taken his case directly to the public instead via Netflix, where he and his lawyers lay out what happened in '93 and everything they've learned since, along with witnesses, jurors, police officers, journalists, including some clips from this show and others at GBH. I'm joined now by Sean Ellis, his lawyer Rosemary Scapicchio, and the series director Remy Burkel. Welcome to all 3 of you. Congratulations. It's a really powerful film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean, why'd you agree to be the subject of an 8-hour documentary?
That's an amazing question. There's a problem in this country, and when I think about what is going on with black and brown people within this criminal justice system, with mass incarceration, police brutality, things of that nature, it's there needed to be something that shed light on the injustices that are faced by us as a people. And so that was really at the heart of that decision, because it isn't about Sean Ellis. It's about those who are continuously being victimized by the criminal justice system.
Remy, what drew you to Sean's story?
Well, first of all, we just want to know that we're a whole team. I mean, there were several people who were drawn to Sean's story. Allison Luchak and Ben Travers, amongst others, were the producers who came on who found the story originally. It's a story that had just so many incredible storytelling elements. I mean, Sean's story, the Boston police story, the corruption, things we learned through Rosemary as well about how all this was hidden, how documents were hidden from the prosecution for so long. And so you look at the story, and then you look at this also. You look at this young 19-year-old man who was accused of this horrendous murder. I mean, the murder itself is horrendous. It was an execution-style murder. 5 bullets in the face, and the fact that this young man was accused after he went to the police spontaneously and said, "I was just there buying diapers." And he could have been a witness, and suddenly he becomes, the perfect usual suspect. So all those elements said, "Wow, this is just a very strong story."
So, Rosemary, I see that Sean jumped into it. Obviously, Remy did too. I assume the one with the reservations was the lawyer. Am I right, or were you totally into this too?
Right. As a criminal defense attorney, I didn't want anyone following Sean or having any access to him, especially without me being there. But Sean and I had a long conversation, and he thought that it was important to tell this story, and I thought it was important to make sure that the next jury that was going to hear this case was going to hear it in a way that they would have the full picture in terms of what was happening. And we fought really hard to get the documents that we got so that we would be ready for a full trial before Pappas dismissed the case.
So, Sean, did you see this documentary as the fourth trial you never had an opportunity to prove your innocence? Because as Rosemary just mentioned, acting DA Pappas, when they dropped the charges, both he at the time and the current police commissioner, and the police commissioner then, Gross, went out of their way to say they were absolutely not saying that you were innocent. In fact, they were saying the contrary. So was this essentially your fourth trial?
Well, I can't take credit for that concept, but it's just really a documentation of my life, in part in the injustice that was faced, and what has came about is what essentially has turned out to be a fourth trial.
Yeah. You know, Remy, a lot of people, at the end of the episodes, you have a list of people who were intimately involved in this, many of them on the wrong side, who refused to talk to you. What is that what message is conveyed by that? What were you trying to say?
Well, it was basically to say that we did it. It was teamwork, as I said. It's a journalistic work. We went and looked and talked to everybody. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, we have, I could go on to Ralph Martin, Mel King, Mayor Flynn from the time to get, Ted Landsmark. We talked. We did our due diligence, as you would say in the law, but we just looked at everything, and we looked at every document we get our hands on, and like in the stories, Rosemary took 10 years to get documents through FOIAs. We took over a year to get some of the documents we wanted to look at too. So even if we're not, a lawyer, no one's in prison because of us. But we talked to a lot of people, and certain people said, yeah, we're going to go on camera, we'll accept that. And a lot of people said yes and then disappeared, and other people just said, no way, not in Boston. I'm not going to go on camera. Those police officers are still out there. We're still afraid of blowback. 25 years later, so it tells you a lot about the story.
What did it tell you, Rosemary? You know all the players. I'm sure those names carried a lot of meaning for you, the people who refused to cooperate. What did it say to you?
It told me that the people who refused to cooperate had something to hide. And we're still in a position now where we're trying to get Sean's gun conviction reversed as well, so that he is no longer a convicted felon. And right now we're in negotiations with the district attorney's office to try to pick up where we left off in terms of talking about this case. And I can tell you that when she first took office, Rachel Rollins and I had a conversation about Sean's case. And at that time, her priority in her office was actually people who were currently incarcerated fighting to get out, like the Keon Sprinkles and the Ronnie Qualls of the world that she was working on. But I expect that we're going to continue to talk about trying to get rid of Sean Ellis's gun conviction, because he didn't do it, and he shouldn't be a convicted felon because of this case.
I had her on the radio with me just the other day, and I had her on immediately after she was elected. She said she was going to look into a whole bunch of cases. I said, did that include Sean Ellis's? She said it might. What she said to me the other day is, I'm not going to say that, Jim. When I said, what are you doing about this case? I'm just telling you that this will not be the last time you hear my voice on this issue. We're looking at everything that has happened here. When she said that, and she wouldn't tell me what specifically, is it around the gun charges, or what exactly is it,
my focus.
or is it broader?
I would love to see Sean exonerated. That would be a dream come true to him and to me.
Could she do that? Could she do that?
Absolutely, she could. But the
why are
first
you
step,
not pushing her to do that?
Out from underneath the gun conviction, and that's that's what we're working on now. And like I said, we had talked initially when she took office, and she was busy working on other cases where people were still in jail for having not committed a crime, and that was her focus. And now I think that she's more focused on what's happening with Sean, the injustice in the system, and the way that her office was portrayed in Trial 4 was horrific. I mean, because it was true.
So do you have hope? So, Rosemary, do you have hope that she could ultimately declare exoneration for Sean?
I think she could. I don't know if she will, but I think she could, based on all of the evidence that's been developed in this case. And to give Sean the opportunity to not be a convicted felon, go and live the rest of his life as the person that he is, and not drag that ball and chain around with him on this gun conviction that we all know. You either believe he did it or you didn't. And there is no in between. There's no gray area here at all.
Do you know who did it, Rosemary?
I do not. But I know no one's looking for them. So that's a problem.
Sean, I know you're sick of me asking this question. Every time you're here, I ask you the same question because I can't believe your answer, which is you spent 22 years of your life in jail for something that you say relentlessly you did not do. I always ask you, why are you not, even your mother in the film says he's not angry. Why are you not angry that half of your life was taken away for something you say you didn't do?
So, allow me to explain this. Like, it's not that I'm angry. It's not that I'm not angry, Jim. It's when I watch the documentary, it's like there's feelings inside of me that arise. But what I'm saying is, what does it do to serve? Like, how would it serve me to walk around angry and bitter and just weighed down? Like that isn't who I am as a person. And so, like, to do that, then what?
You're a better person than me, Sean Ellis, but I guess that's pretty obvious. Hey, Remy, what do you want the viewer to take? I'm sorry, go ahead, Sean.
So, Jim, like, let me say this. When you walk around, like, when you're upset, can you envision yourself walking around feeling that way for the rest of your life? Like, that's a heavy reality to walk around with.
Yeah.
And like, I'm making a conscious decision to try to work on and heal myself from the inside out.
It comes through, Sean. Quickly, Remy, we're short on time. What do you want people to take away from these 8 hours?
I would like them to take away what Sean is talking about and what Rosemary is talking about, that they're, people can change. People can, through their votes, they can actually change. They can vote in a new DA who's going to be progressive. They can vote in a new president. And I want them to, this is Sean and Rosemary's. I'm a conduit through which we're going to tell a story of injustice, systemic racism, and a system that just didn't work for this man. And that's what I want them to take. And this is Sean and Rosemary's story. I just want them to really live that story. Yeah, and emotionally live it, because it's an emotional story. I was watching episode 8 with my family just a little while ago in France, and I'm still in tears. It's just when Pappas and Gross got up there and said what they said at that dismissal, I had to go to tears. I mean, it's a great moment. Sean's free, but he's not exonerated, and that's just so damn unfair. It's really unfair, and I want people to get it. People are getting it. That's it.
And Sean said he's doing it for people beyond himself. Your timing could not be better. Sean, I only have 30 seconds. Can we end on an up note here? Tell people what you're doing, if that's okay with you. You're working for a wonderful organization.
Yeah, so I am part of the development team at Community Servants. Community Servants essentially is a nonprofit organization that provides medically tailored meals for the sick and infirmed. And so I shouldn't be saying too much without authorization. But it's a great organization. Right now, we're actually in a major drive called Pie in the Sky. And so you can go on our website at communityservants.org and purchase a pie for a client, and you can select me as the seller.
Hey, Sean, I ordered 2 pies while I'm watching the film yesterday, so I'm all covered. And by the way, Sean just got a promotion. He's too humble to say it. Rosemary Scapicchio, Remy Burkel, and Sean Ellis, thank you. And I urge everybody to watch every minute of those 8 hours. Thanks to all 3 for being here.
Thanks very much,
Jim. Thank you for WGBH. Thank you very much.
The series again is Trial 4, and you can see it on Netflix right now.